What would happen if you gathered 1,000 full-grown male gorillas and told them to fight a Tyrannosaurus rex? It sounds like a ridiculous thought experiment, but it's the kind of question that reveals the extremes of biology, strength, and survival instinct. First, let's define our gorilla army. We're not talking about average silverbacks. In this scenario, every single gorilla is based on the largest specimens ever recorded, towering over the 6 feet tall and weighing roughly 267 kilograms, 590 pounds. Multiply that by 1,000, and you have a collective biomass of more than 260 tons. That's over 500,000 pounds of primate muscle, bone, and fury. Gorillas are among the strongest land mammals. They can shatter bamboo, uproot small trees, and throw objects weighing over 100 pounds. Compared to their cousins, the chimpanzees or orangutans, gorillas are slower but significantly stronger. Their thick, muscular arms are designed for climbing, foraging, and occasionally displaying dominance. But in terms of combat training or predatory instincts, they're basically pacifists. In the wild, silverbacks lead their troops not through brute force, but through presence. They maintain order, protect their group, and resolve tension through displays, chest beating, roaring, and bluff charges. Physical fights are rare and usually short. Gorillas don't enjoy conflict. They avoid it when possible. Yet, they can be dangerous. When truly provoked or defending their group, a silverback can inflict serious damage. Their primary weapon isn't their fists, it's their bite. With jaws built to tear through thick vegetation, and muscle gorillas have one of the strongest bite forces of any primate, reaching up to 1,300 psi. That's stronger than a lion's. But here's the thing, they don't use it on other species often. Gorillas don't hunt. They don't plan attacks. They've never been observed coordinating complex group assaults. Unlike wolves, lions, or even chimpanzees, gorillas lack social strategies for large-scale offense. Some might argue, what if they all attacked at once? Good question. But even that falls apart under scrutiny. Unlike insects or herd animals, gorillas aren't wired for swarm behavior. They're territorial, not cooperative on a mass scale. Organizing even 20 gorillas to act in sync is difficult. Now, imagine 1,000. Without training, leadership, or instinctual tactics, their efforts would likely dissolve into chaos the moment danger appears. To put this in context, consider what happens when a troop of gorillas encounters a single predator, say a leopard. Despite their size advantage, gorillas often retreat. In most documented cases, even a small threat causes an entire group to flee, leaving one unlucky member behind. Predators don't need to kill many gorillas to win. They just need to create fear and confusion. And unlike predators, gorillas don't adapt well to strange environments. They rely heavily on familiar terrain, food sources, and social rhythms. Drop them into an arena with no trees, no plants, no escape, and they'll panic. Some may lash out. Others will freeze. Many will look for a way out. Let's consider a smaller hypothetical 50 gorillas versus a lion. In theory, the gorillas should win, but in reality, most would avoid the fight entirely. Now scale that to 1,000 gorillas, and a creature 10 times more dangerous than any lion. It's also worth mentioning that gorillas, while intelligent, are not trained fighters. Even if you handed them sticks or clubs, they wouldn't know how to use them in battle. Intelligence without tactics is just noise. A human child with basic martial arts training might outfight a gorilla in terms of strategy, because a strategy matters more than muscle alone. Still, for the sake of our thought experiment, let's imagine something changes. Imagine these 1,000 gorillas are unified. Somehow, their instincts are overridden. They don't fear. They don't retreat. They see the T-Rex not as a godlike monster, but as prey. Before we can answer whether they could win, we must understand their enemy. Meet Goliath. Goliath is not just any Tyrannosaurus rex. He is the largest, most massive specimen ever discovered a predator built through 65 million years of evolutionary warfare. Found in 2024, Goliath's femur was longer, thicker, and heavier than any recorded T-Rex fossil. It had a minimum circumference of 64.7 centimeters, pointing to an extraordinary muscular structure. Scientists estimate that Goliath weighed between 12.5 and 15 metric tons, over 12,000 kilograms. That's twice the total weight of the 1,000 gorillas combined. His size alone is terrifying. But Goliath isn't just a walking mountain, he's a hunting machine. His skull measured 1.5 meters long and weighed about 270 kilograms, not including the thick layers of muscle that surrounded it in life. That means his head alone weighed as much as an entire silverback gorilla. But more important than size is function. T-Rex had a bite force estimated between 30,000 and 40,000 newtons, strong enough to shatter, bone crush, steel drums, and pulverize a gorilla skull like a grape. Its teeth weren't just sharp, they were thick, curved, and serrated like steak knives. Many were 30 centimeters long. They didn't just stab, they ripped and ground flesh like biological saw blades. T-Rex didn't need to bite multiple times. One clean snap could end a fight instantly, and its mouth could open wide up to 63 degrees, allowing Goliath to clamp down on large prey, even swallow smaller targets whole. A single unlucky gorilla could be gone in one gulp. Beyond his bite, Goliath had an underrated skill speed. Despite his size, T-Rex wasn't slow. Biomechanical studies in 2019 showed it had excellent turning ability thanks to its long tail and well-developed hip muscles. It wasn't built to sprint long distances, but it could charge quickly and pivot to catch fast-moving prey. And unlike mammals, T-Rex didn't tire easily. Its respiratory system resembled that of modern birds, with air sacs that allowed continuous oxygen intake. Gorillas, by contrast, rely on bursts of energy from fast twitch muscles which burn out quickly. Goliath could keep moving long after the gorillas began to slow down. But the most frightening thing about Goliath isn't just his power or endurance, it's his durability. Fossil evidence shows that T-Rex individuals survived broken ribs, punctured jaws, torn ligaments, even injuries to the brain case. These animals fought regularly. Some of them were bitten by other T-Rexes and lived. Others had wounds from horned dinosaurs like Triceratops or massive hadrosaurs with crushing tails, and they kept going. Their bones healed. Their scars became armor. Now picture this. You drop Goliath into a neutral, open arena. No foliage, no terrain advantage, just flat ground. One side holds 1,000 massive gorillas. The other side holds him. At first, the gorillas don't move. They eye one another, uncertain of the threat. Some pace, some slap the ground or bare their teeth, but many do nothing. Without a clear leader or strategy, they simply freeze. Then Goliath roars a deep, thunderous blast that vibrates through the ground. The gorillas panic. Not all, but many. Groups scatter in random directions. Some charge one another in fear. Others search the arena for a way out. The sheer size and sound of Goliath shatters whatever confidence they had. He advances slowly at first, sniffing the air, studying the scene. His instincts take over. A lone gorilla runs too close. One snap of the jaws, and it vanishes. Another is trampled under his clawed foot. Two more attempt to punch his leg, only to be tail-whipped across the field, bodies broken. Despite their numbers, the gorillas are disorganized. They don't flank.
They don't climb. They don't coordinate attacks on weak spots. They act as 1,000 individuals, not as one army. And Goliath punishes them for it. Within minutes, dozens lie still. Some were crushed, others devoured. A few managed to bite or scratch, but their attacks barely reach past his hide. Goliath keeps moving, his endurance unbroken, his hunger rising. At this point, the outcome seems certain. But what if we changed just one thing? What if the gorillas didn't feel fear?
This time, things are different. The 1,000 gorillas have no fear, no panic, no hesitation. Something in them has changed. Their eyes burn with fury. Their muscles coil like springs. They are no longer confused apes. They are berserkers with one instinct: kill the monster. As the arena gates rise, they charge. Not one or two, all of them. The ground shakes as the wave of muscle and bone rushes toward Goliath. From the start, it's overwhelming. They swarm his legs, scale his tail, climb his back, leap from each other's shoulders to reach his neck. Dozens grab hold of his arms and thighs. Others punch and bite his underbelly. Goliath reacts instantly. His tail sweeps dozens of gorillas off their feet, bones snapping like twigs. His foot comes down with a crunch, flattening entire clusters. He chomps through 3 gorillas in one bite. But it's not enough. The swarm keeps climbing. For every gorilla killed, 5 take its place. The first minute is pure chaos. Gorillas roar, fists flying. They latch onto skin folds, sink their teeth into muscle gouge at eyes and joints. Goliath bleeds. His right eye closes under the assault. His forearm is torn and covered in bite marks. Blood stains the arena floor. He tries to shake them off. He rolls. He slams his back into the ground. Dozens are crushed beneath him, but more keep coming. One gorilla jams his fingers into Goliath's nostril. Another climbs into his open mouth and scratches his tongue before being crushed by a snap of jaws. After 5 minutes, Goliath begins to slow. His movements lose precision. His roars weaken. Blood pours from his legs. He stumbles. For the first time, his front knee gives out. A cheer rises not from the gorillas, but from the hypothetical audience watching this madness unfold. A concentrated group of 60 gorillas climbs onto his neck and base of the skull. They punch, bite, claw with ferocity. One manages to sever a tendon. Goliath howls in agony, spinning violently. Half the attackers are flung into the air like ragdolls, but not all. Gorillas still cling to his legs, slowing each step. One bites deep into his ankle. Another breaks a tooth, trying to pierce the skin, but weakens a joint. With a thunderous roar, Goliath crashes onto his side. The shockwave knocks dozens off their feet. His tail twitches. His jaws snap, but slower now. The surviving gorillas seize the moment. They swarm his fallen form. Some hammer his throat. Others punch his eye sockets or attempt to dig at his ribs. One gorilla, bleeding heavily, climbs into Goliath's mouth again and bites down on his tongue. Goliath crushes him, but not before gagging on his own blood. It almost works, but almost is not enough. With a final surge of primal rage, Goliath lifts his head and spins. His jaws find fresh targets. His tail wipes out 30 attackers in one blow. He rolls again. The arena is a graveyard. Gorilla corpses lie mangled in heaps. Those still standing are exhausted, trembling, bleeding. They fought like warriors, but they are apes, creatures of the forest, not the battlefield. As the last few try to regroup, Goliath rises limping, snarling, one eye swollen shut. He towers over them, bloodied but alive. One final roar echoes, shaking the bones of every witness. And then, silence. The few surviving gorillas fall back, not from fear, but from defeat. Their strength was real, their fury unmatched. But biology has limits. Even rage can't rewrite evolution. Goliath, wounded and weary, remains, king of killers. But what if the gorillas had tools? What if they had traps, armor, fire? What if they had time to prepare? Could 1,000 apes become 1,000 warriors? Could instinct evolve into strategy? That is a question for another time.